Hey, folks, this is Lindsey Hudson with SPS in the building, getting ready to bring on Coach Greg Ward from Detroit King, celebrating their PSL championship, first in 9 years. We're preparing to bring him on shortly, but I just want to check in with everyone, say thank you for supporting SPS. The show will be going on shortly. I think Greg is getting off the jet. You know, when you win the PSL championship, got all kind of negotiations and stuff going on. I think he's in between. So he's landing right now, and then we'll get him all set. But just want to thank you all for supporting SPS and tuning in. He's going to be here shortly. Right now, I see him getting ready. He's over at I think the jet has landed, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him in right now. Coach Greg Ward, what's good?
Man, don't call me no Greg, man. What's up, man?
You know what? I got somebody's name on my phone. You know I know better.
You got to tell me. I already know, man. I ain't big time yet. You won't
George,
mess my name up.
Listen, they got some text messages I sent to you that I wonder why you never responded. I said, man, why George never respond and all that? But I was just saying that the jet just landed and all that. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. It's good to see you, my brother.
Yeah, I was saying that when you win the PSL title, you know, you got all kind of negotiations going on. The jet just landed. You in between. They trying to rush you from one place to the other, you know, to get you straight and all that. You know better.
Hey, brother, what they give us, my man, the only jet I see is please, is on a New York Jets helmet somewhere on TV, brother.
But check this out though. But to that point, and we got a lot of things to talk about. I'm glad to have you here. It may not be about the money, but the influence, the way you touch lives, the way you get a level of respect that no money could buy. Is it fair to say that's the trade-off when the money's not there?
Totally. The total trade-off for me, I mean, you know, I'm just talking, I can eat what I want to eat pretty much every night. So, you know, I can't complain. But the harsh reality of it is, yeah, man, it is very rewarding for me when I see our young men accomplishing some things that they want to accomplish, not just athletically, but obviously academically, but the social piece as well, socially being what they're supposed to be and becoming responsible young men. So, you know what, that even though it doesn't put anything in the bank account, it really fills my heart with joy. So, you know, that's why we do it.
It does. You know, I got a number of topics I want to talk to you about, you know, during COVID. You know, it's hard to believe, man. It's been a year since you and I chalked it up. Check this out, a year, and I'm going to take you back. I'm going to throw a photo up here just as a reminder.
Man.
It was a minute.
Man, it's been a minute. You see, I needed the cut. I had to. Hey, man, you see, I needed a cut. So, yeah, that was a year ago, man.
That was a year ago since we got down and we had such a fruitful conversation.
We had a hell of a conversation.
And it's always like I be having a moment. I'm like, man, what George at? We need to talk to what George think about this. We need to holler at you right now. But that COVID had it shut down. Well, first things first, congratulations on the PSL championship. Congratulations on what you've done. 2021 PSL champion. This is the King's first PSL championship in 9 years, and ironically, it was against Pershing 9 years ago, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Right,
yep.
Two-story
against
program.
Pershing, they defeated, and their girls defeated Pershing that night as well. So it was a double up for King High School at that time. Obviously, I was still at Detroit Southeastern. But, you know, it was a wonderful night for the city to have actually four power programs, both the girls and boys from King and Pershing get together, and King come out victorious 9 years ago. Although we had defeated King about 2.5 weeks earlier at King by about 20 points.
Woo! Hey, but that wasn't the one. You know how that goes. That game don't mean nothing. It's a new game.
Wasn't the one. And you know what? This was hell of a. Pierre did a great job. He kind of switched his defenses up a little bit before the playoffs started, and that kind of catapulted them to a city championship. So kudos to him and his program at that time. And you know, fortunately for me, now we were able to get something done at King as well. So you know what?
You're doing it. You're doing it. We just got a message from Kwame Simmons shouting both you and I out. I want to remind people who listen, you can definitely make a comment, pose a question. We go vet your questions because see now everybody want to know what George Ward next move gonna be and whatnot. So I'm gonna vet them questions for you, right? Before they come through, man.
Next move, go ahead.
I got my guy, Kwame said we inspire. I got my guy Courtney Alexander, representing all the way from Chicago. His son is doing some great things, man. Actually, he was on Notre Dame's campus just recently. They were checking him out. He's a ball player too, somebody you can appreciate. I don't want to jump around, but I do want to try to stay focused. How has it been coaching and having success through the challenges of COVID? Like I said, we talked a year ago, things were shut down. You were getting ready for a big game. I don't want to pull no scabs back or anything like that, but I mean, let's talk about what that matchup was getting ready to be a year ago when everything stopped.
Well, you know what? It was we were going to play the Hamtramck Cosmos. And, again, Dennis Foster has done an outstanding job with his program. Just watching DJ and shout out to DJ and those young men over there. But we were going to play them in a district championship. We had just defeated a tough East Point team. And we kind of, out the back of our heads, we were kind of out our side eye. We were kind of looking all year, looking forward to playing Hamtramck. And I know they were looking forward to playing us because they hadn't, from a state perspective, they hadn't been getting the respect that I felt like they deserved. So, they had a chip on their shoulder, and rightfully so. And unfortunately for us, but not only us, but unfortunately for the public and the basketball world, and no one got to see that. And if we can take care of business tomorrow evening, maybe the world will be able to get to see the Hamtramck King basketball game that so many have been looking forward to.
And what you're referring to is the districts. What's your district matchup tomorrow, and where are you physically going to be at?
We are at the Grosse Pointe North High School, but we will play Grosse Pointe South High School, who they do a wonderful job, and they've done a wonderful job for years. So, we can't look ahead. That's why I haven't mentioned Hamtramck this year, but we definitely got to take care of business tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And if we're fortunate enough to get out of there, I'm sure we see Hamtramck.
Yeah, and and then another question I want to ask you, and you kind of touched on it with not looking ahead, staying focused, dealing with tragedy, not only the COVID tragedy, but the loss that came so close to your program with the dear Casey Willis. Shout out to Bay Bush and Brother Willis on your team, his sister. I mean, again, not trying to bring up wounds, but these are realities we dealt with. How did you handle that? Because at the end of the day, you came out on the other side. You came out victorious with a championship. How did you guys handle going through that?
Well, I want you to think about this, because to say that Casey was close to my program is actually false. She was a part of our program. If you look at some of the film, we were able to look at some footage from this past summer. When she got off work or she was done with class, you saw Casey. So Chauncey has done probably as good a job as any 16, 17-year-old young man could do. So here we are. The program itself, we felt that void. We understand that she's not there physically, but obviously she's there in spirit with us. But so for everyone to have to share those tears and, to start the season off, I'm going to tell you, those first couple games, and even now, but those first couple games were hard for us. It was hard for Chauncey LaRon Willis Jr. And it was sometimes I left him in the game so he wouldn't have to deal with the emotion that he was dealing with. He can kind of just focus in on basketball. And, it's been his sanctuary for quite a long time. But the young man and his tremendous family, with the support of his family, and obviously us being a part of his family, he's made the best of the situation as you could. And then you look, Coach Massey, who's our track coach, Fernando Massey, he has been battling cancer. Now, he does everything for our program. I'm talking about from washing uniforms, putting everything away, making sure our rosters are taken care of, filling up bags on game day, making sure I have my towel on my shoulder once my wife gives it to me in the morning. He does everything, and he's in the hospital right now. So our young men have been dealing with a lot. My assistant coach, Derek Clark Jr., his mom is having some health issues as well. Coach Ernie, who was our assistant coach on our girls program, he passed during the pandemic. Coach Reynolds, the legendary Coach Reynolds at Detroit King High School, is possibly the greatest football coach that we've ever seen in the city of Detroit. He passed away. And then recently, Coach William Winfield. I called him, ironically enough, I called him LL because he was a living legend. and to see him pass away and everything that has happened to our King family, and for our young men to be so resilient, so focused, so determined, so unified. It has been amazing for me to watch. And, I'm just watching this thing progress. So whatever happens in the next 2.5 weeks, I'm going to still be proud of these young men because this has been a life lesson for them. And this is one test that I got to tell you, they definitely got an A+ on.
Yeah. If I had a crystal ball and some kind of way could have told you when the last time we talked, everything that was going to happen, the passings, those people you named, and things like that. And if I would have also threw in there, by the way, you're going to win the PSL championship, would you believe me?
Well, there's no way I would have believed all those other stuff. All those other things would have taken place. I kind of believed we were going to win the city championship. We probably should have won the city championship last year. If Chauncey doesn't get hurt, I can go on record, and I'm not that guy normally, but I will say most people kind of understood. At Chauncey doesn't get hurt, we're probably looking at a back-to-back city champion right now. But to deal with the pain, and pain is a part of life. So for our young men and for me to be, if this is a family, I'm no fool. If we're a family, I'm the father, okay? And obviously they all have fathers at home, but to be the father, to be the figurehead, I try to tell our young men every day that, you know what, pain is a part of life, disappointment is a part of life. And dealing with adversity is something that'll make you stronger in the end if you know how to overcome it. And you know what, I think they'll look back over this years to come and realize how this kind of catapulted them to a championship, but not only a championship receiving a trophy, but a championship mentality as well.
Yeah, that's great. Got James Wu-Payne just popped in, shouting out his guys. Got to give love to them. I mean, look at what's happening. You see Wu-Payne doing this thing over at Henry Ford College. His brother Rob making a big move over with the Cruise, the G League affiliate. I mean, just to kind of get off base, when you hear him getting his presidential role, his GM role, I mean, how do you feel when you hear a native Detroiter make those kind of moves like that?
Well, you know what? Obviously, knowing Rob for years, him being a Puritan Avenue guy, unfortunately,
shout out PA.
PA, no question about it. Unfortunately for him, he went to Mumford, but we'll let that pass.
I got it.
But he rectified and corrected that by going to HBCU. But in all honesty, watching Murph do his thing, man, it's been a pleasure. He was coaching JV at Central when I was coaching junior varsity at Cooley High, and Rob and I have been cool for years. We talk. We actually, before he got the Eastern Michigan job, he'll tell you he and I were down at the Final Four together, having a good time, and so he's a good friend and just proud of the brother to be able to not only even interview for that position, but to be qualified for that position and be professional enough to take that position. And he's going to grab that thing by the horns and do a great job. So we're proud of him. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. Shout out to Kevin Marshall. He's the coach of Saginaw Bridgeport, the Bearcats. They got a great run going up there, both football.
He does a great job. That's right. Kev does a great job.
Yeah, that's what I want to shout him out. But kind of staying on that collegiate topic that you brought up, man, we need more of these conversations. That's Solomon Span shouting you out. Absolutely. Got George Ward here representing for Detroit King and just representing for the community overall. Let's talk about college, not only just the NCAA, but I don't know, it's like Bloods and Crips. I got Michigan fans and I got, Spartan fans on here. So maybe we could touch on two different topics with that. I can't help it. The Tom Izzo interaction that kind of, took the world by storm, not only the early exit for the Michigan State Spartans, and if this is considered a controversial conversation, it's okay because it's you. I can stuff controversy your way and you can manage it and you can handle it. But I know there may be an internal bias as a coach. I'm a former coach, you're a coach, and we feel a certain kind of way, but I'm just curious and I wanted to just get your thoughts on that halftime interaction between Gabe Brown and Tom Izzo.
Well, I want to think about this. Here we are. When a young man, is responsible for something, and I watched the thing evolve. Initially, I didn't think anything of it. The only thing one thing I was disappointed in, it's a couple things. Obviously, how the young man responded. He kind of shrugged up, like,
oh yeah, he 7 miled up on him when he turned and kind of.
And Gabe is a hell of a young man. He's a nice young man, but to display that kind of toughness, to your coach is one thing. And we're not going to get into whether or not Gabe is that tough a player or anything like that. I think it caught him by surprise, maybe. And I think the emotions of the game kind of bothered him. So then, T.I. being who he is and being in your face type of coach, he challenges his guys. So I didn't have a problem with that. The one thing that I do know, and I mean, there is a double standard is, and I know T.I., I know his intentions. He is a man that loves his guys. He demands excellence like all of us. So obviously the conversation would shift to, if that were me grabbing a young man of European descent, how would that be viewed? And unfortunately, that is something that people are going to look at. But I also know T.I.'s intentions, and I know that staff very well. I know he didn't mean anything. Obviously, Gabe is 6'8" tall, and he's 20-some years old. So, I mean, obviously he didn't hurt him, but maybe I think the shock or the embarrassment, and more importantly, I think the way that Gabe responded kind of is what took everybody by storm. It's an unfortunate incident, but also understand this, that kind of demanding personality, that kind of challenging personality has made it where this man is in an awful lot of Final Fours, and he squirrels a lot of blood out of turnips that really didn't have too much blood. So, you know what? Kudos to him. He still does a hell of a job. I just think, and I think you're going to probably ask a little something about this in a minute, but I just think their recruiting is going to have to change a little bit, but we're going to talk about that for sure.
Yeah, you're right. And you're absolutely right. I want to stay on that. Since you got going, a number of people I just want to acknowledge. Shout out to Jackie Winfield. She's referring to Terry Griffin. Also, Jimmy Sanders. We both know Jimmy. Jimmy saying, what's up, man? Y'all got nothing but love for him. Coach Kevin Marshall made a comment about that. He said, as a coach, that player was wrong how he responded, but Izzo was being a coach. He'd been there and done that, but it was one of those in the moment things. I think we can agree with that. And I also want to say, in Tom, I got a relationship with Tom. I got nothing but love for Tom. And I also want to say that had he known that the camera would have been on him like that, that'd have been. I like how you got that hardware in the back too. By the way, it's good. A lot of people don't have that kind of hardware in the back, baby.
No, not in your basement. Everybody don't get that. But go ahead.
Right, but one thing I was going to say is that to your point, man. To your point about if it was you doing it to a white player, and I think that's the issue I have, because like you and I both said, we got a relationship with Tom. We got nothing but love for Tom. We know how he gets down.
Ain't no doubt.
And I don't even think it's about him at this point, because, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's been doing that. But we're so quick to accept it, Tom being Tom. But we can't say that's George being George. That's Lindsey being Lindsey without there being, or who I'm going to transition to in a second, Juwan being Juwan. But just want to know your thought about that. Lakita, the coach Gans, had something to say. She said MF facts. She's trying to put that out there. Shout out to Lakita.
Right.
And all that she's doing. And,
hey, little sis, what was facts though? Specify. What was the facts?
Don't worry, she'll bring it back around. And
there
also, too, you mentioned a number of people that were integral to the program, but somebody I got to mention and shout out to make sure you don't have no problems later. Is your lovely wife? You got you some championship tickets, right?
Baby, he got us on here kissing. He got our picture on here kissing.
You mentioned she gets you your towel in the morning and get you straight, but it's good to have that support. Okay, we talked about time, and that's gonna be something. Lori, right on time. She said different set of rules for the melanin. I got you. She right on time with that. And this is Lakita staying there, and we can stay on there for a minute. It would have been a problem even if it was a black coach doing to a black player.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay.
That's what I was about to say. And Keita is absolutely right, because, again, I get it. Unfortunately for us, the voice of the black man in his community has just about been hit on mute. So what I'm saying is this now. Strong black men aren't viewed the same anymore. Because our women are doing a great job. They're doing a great job with education, professionally. Their careers are going great. They're driving wonderful vehicles, the whole nine. But that has really caused a shift. Now, some people don't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, I'm willing to do so. It has caused a shift in our community where me being a strong man is viewed as, oh, he's mean, he's a bully, or whatever the case may be. So it's accepted from a white guy, and it's truly accepted from a black woman, because now she's mama and she has to be tough. And look at what she's doing. And you know what, mother, when that mother whooped her son in Baltimore some years ago, everybody stood up and said, what a great mother she is. Adrian Peterson career was put on hold for whooping his son. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, I understand it. And as Keita just said, it would have been a major problem had that been a black young man and a black man dealing with that situation. So here we are. Because of the disdain that we have oftentimes for the black father, it kind of comes out in the athletic world as well. So it's an unfortunate incident. I really just hope that it goes away. And at the end, did the young person do his or her job? Say, being held accountable, and yep, I get it. Nobody wants to holler anymore. We shouldn't holler at children anymore, and I understand that. But that's what came about, and I think the emotions got a hold to each of them, and I think each of them wish that it never occurred.
Would it made it land a little bit better had they been successful? Because at the time he was up 11 points at the half, and had they pulled out, and if they would be part of the Sweet 16 conversation, does that give it a little bit more leverage, you think?
Well, you know what? I've never smoked a funny cigarette in my life, Lindsay. So my memory is pretty good. So a few years ago, he did it with Aaron Henry in the timeout, and he kind of gritted his teeth, and we had a problem with that, and they won the game. Not only did they win the game, Aaron Henry got better.
Mm-hmm.
He progressively got better during the course of that specific tournament, and they end up doing pretty well. And we still had a problem with it. What's going on now in our society is, and yes, we have to rethink things. I've had to do so myself. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's unfortunate and it's tough at times, because if the guys that were coaching in the 80s or in the 70s, hell, they wouldn't be able to work anywhere.
Oh no. I know particularly your high school coach.
Oh man, please. He wouldn't be able to be an Uber driver now, man.
They could get nothing going on.
A
lot of people who've chimed in. Let me just acknowledge some folks who just chimed in, man. Of course, Miss Lori Ward had to share her hearts and love. Delonda Little, she was on not too long ago. She is a referee extraordinaire, saying one of the best coaches was best people. Coach Niz over at Roseville. I got nothing but love for you. He said Coach Ward keeps it 100. My guy Courtney out of Chicago, he kind of stayed to that point, talk about the demasculization of black men at an all-time high. I mean, that's what it comes down to, emasculating us as it relates to you too strong. Now, I noticed you mentioned that you kind of had to make a little change a little bit, and that's kind of my underlying point, Coach, as it relates to you can't go into a head coaching opportunity, and I'm not taking anything from where you are, but if you were, interviewing for the Indiana job, we can talk about an Indiana job, right? And they say, how do you coach? You say, well, I coach like Tom Izzo. Is that going to be something that's going to help your candidacy going forward, or even on a high school level?
Not in 2021. And I get it. I understand it. I love what Lil Sis said. Little sis Lakita Gantz just said, and then I'm going to love on you. See, for every time I take a dime out your behind, I'm going to give you $1 back at some point.
Yeah.
And people see us. You know what? And look at it. She told me, I'm hollering at you.
Well, she said that first. I went out of order. She said, I'm hollering at you first, and then I'm going to love on you.
But guess what, though? See, here's the thing. Most times people don't see that the young man that spent the night with me. Most times people don't see that I'm the one that showed him how to cut grass. Most times they don't see that we're the ones who are really spending time with him, talking to him about the situation and the relationship that he has with his girlfriend. Or if he has an absent father or a father who isn't as active as we would want him to be. So here we are. You get to see, as Bobby Womack said years ago, you get to see the side of me that people pay to see.
Ooh, wow.
You don't get to see me. You don't get to see me. You don't know who I am. You don't really know. You don't know that this young man called me if he got a little STI and he need to say, hey, coach, man, do I need to go to the doctor? What I need to do? We don't understand.
Exactly.
So for me, I understand coaching our young people nowadays. You know, it is tough because they have so much to deal with. The internet has forced a lot of people to try to live out a movie on social media, and the pressure of these young people to try to fulfill that movie. So here we are, as Jackie Whitfield just said, society has ruined our children, and the only thing I'm trying to do is make sure that our children don't get ruined. We have so many things against us that I'm just trying to say, hey, look, man, I want a young man and young girl and your children to look at you and say, I am excited that you're my father. See, at the end of the day, that's what I want. Now, if you make it to the NBA, you can still be a sorry son of a gun and go to the NBA. So I'm not just going to be proud that you're getting a check for hooping.
Right.
I want your children to be able to say, I'm glad that you're my father. And I want your wife to say, when she meets me, say, hey, coach, he talk about you all the time and say all the things that you did for him and how you kept your foot right near his behind. That's what's important to me.
Yeah, that's to Terry Griffith's point. I want to take a moment right now. Number of people who have some things to say. One person I got to acknowledge right here, my mama, speak the truth to the power generation, a powerful gentleman. That's a great dialogue. That's my mother, Patricia England, number love. I want to shout out my guy, Ramon Thompson. You know, this is my guy going way back. We were hearing for a guy, but we used to come over to your now defunct court at Cooley outside and get it in. That's when I met Lakita. And I used to hear her before I got to the court. You know how that goes. But shout out
to if Kita's woke, you're going to hear her. I don't care where she at. You're going to hear her.
That's right. But, you know, as we wrap up this topic, Courtney talked about it's tough just to get the attention and the teaching point. Delonda is saying facts. Miss Lori Ward is giving you a standing ovation with that. So and also Albert Mass, this young man right here, he said Albert Mass played at Everett High School, real good young man. He said if your coach doesn't care like that, that should not be your coach, period. And that's coming from a player, you know. And it's hard because here's the thing, coach, you are able to walk the line between being connected with the kids all the way down to what they're dealing with and what's happening, but also you able to go into the administration building and advocate on their behalf. So you got that idea about what's going on in both worlds. So you know what it takes to get that kid's attention, but you also got to be able to work. Is that just the whole thing when we talk about playing the game, being professional? I mean, what is that term when we have to acknowledge those real things that are happening, but also be able to present a certain way too?
Well, you know what? You got to care enough. You got to care enough. And if you care, you know, oftentimes I hear people say, well, you know what? He didn't have a father, so that's why he's not a good father. I think that's the worst shit I've ever heard. Excuse my mouth. Because here we are. If you care enough, then you'll love enough. And your time is everything. That energy is everything. So the one thing about me, you know, I fall in love with my players. Once we spend time together and they allow me to coach them and drive them, I love them. There's no other way to put it. I love them all. So here it is. If you love them enough, you're going to advocate for them. But as much as you're going to advocate for them, you recognize you have their ear and you have their heart as well. Push them. Push them as much as you can. But see, the push shouldn't just come to cutting off the baseline or to boxing out or to swinging the ball. It should be, you know what? I'm going to push you enough to be the gentleman that you're supposed to be. I'm going to push you enough to make sure that you're getting up in the morning. I'm going to push you to do the things that you're supposed to do. Unfortunately for us, I appreciate that, Kev. Unfortunately for us, our kids have been accommodated so much where you are now viewed as the bad guy. If you tell them, hey, man, you didn't shoot the ball well last night, but everybody else has told him, man, you shot the skin off of it.
Right.
You are now the bad guy.
Right.
Now he could have shot 7 for 19. He could have shot 7 for 25. The facts say he didn't shoot it well. But because you were the one that was willing to tell the truth, you are now viewed upon as a hater, or you are viewed upon as the bad guy. And once it hits to somebody else's ears, He don't know what he's talking about. He ain't letting you do your thing. And I think that's the thing that's hurting us more than anything is oftentimes the untold lie is the very worst lie that we can tell. Sometimes the truth
Untold lie? Is that what you said? The untold lie?
The untold lie is the very worst lie. Because when you see it, if you see me walking up the stairs, man, and my butt is hanging out, man, tell me.
Yeah.
But to look at it and not say nothing is the very worst thing that we can do. And the problem is today, our young people are walking around, and I don't mean literally, but our young people are walking around oftentimes with their butt out or their heads in the sky, and we see it and we refuse to say something because we fear. Now, this is 2021. We fear how they're going to feel about us. Ain't that something?
Yeah, yeah. I don't want them to feel that way. Keita just wrote us a book real quick. Let me read what Keita said. Keita said, man, if I could send this short show to some of them blindsided coaches out here, she said blindsided ass coaches, I got to use Keita's voice, out here now, I'd help change so many athlete lives. Shaking my head. These coaches don't care enough. They just want recognition on the job. Also, Albert Mass, the young man I told you about from Everett, really great young guy. He said, coaches wear 1,000 hats, not just in season, but out of season too. It's never been anything I could ask for or ask for advice from my coach. And this young man is a relatively young man. He just finished high school a couple years ago. I think it says a lot when you get the actual player talking. Like, what does the player think? And that's probably a voice we don't hear out here to get those feedback. Like, we didn't get to talk to Gabe after the event, but I'm curious to know what Gabe would say about everything.
Wow, that is a great point. You know, I remember Coach Kelso, he called me a different name one time, and it was the same name. It was always the same name, but this particular day we were playing at the Boys Club on Livernois and Michigan Ave, just south of Michigan Ave, and the word started with an H. It has 7 letters, and the first part of the word has 2 double consonants with an S in it. So here we are. He said it, and everybody heard it. I'm gonna be honest. I heard it and I kept on moving. I didn't take it personally or anything like that. I knew I had messed something up. The toughest part about it now is, again, it kind of goes back to what we said. Our young people are extremely sensitive now. I get it. I understand. I have children of my own. But the one thing that I could probably tell you is their skin is probably a little bit thicker than a lot of young people out here because they've heard daddy kind of get on them a little bit. You know, when daddy in my household, if daddy calls you twice, you better be my wife.
Ooh. My
cats better not let me call them 2-3 times because there's going to be an issue. So I just think the respect that we were forced to display and exemplify as young people, I think that's the same type of love and respect that we should force upon our young people because they are not as self-sufficient as we were for a very good reason because we have not forced them to be. And that's tough.
Ms. Ward said he ain't lying. She said she knows from first-hand experience. That's it. I want to get one more comment from Keita, and I want to transition to that other school in the state of Michigan. Keita say, talk that these people don't want to hear the truth. Tell these kids the truth and help improve their lives, improve their skills, and improve their character. That is Keita. And last thing, Terry Griffin says they wear their feelings on their shoulders. We got a lot out of that. And I know that wasn't out of left field, but that was just a trending topic, and I appreciate you sharing. And lastly, like somebody said, I wonder what Gabe has to say. Gabe was just getting re-engaged with social media because he went off social media for the season. He was actually retweeting some of the tweets I sent out about him. So he's back, he's engaged, and I'm sure he'll defend his coach because that's the relationship they have.
That's right.
Here's a final question I have on that, and we kind of touched on it earlier. Tom being of the age he is, you know, older guy, he probably has less seasons coaching than he had more seasons, meaning he ain't going to coach the same amount. After Tom transitions from coaching at Michigan State, because that day will come, will we see more coaches like him, or will he be the last of the Mohicans, so to speak, where that style will leave with him, if you will?
Damn, you're bad. You one of the best journalists out there.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man.
Well,
you can relate.
Well, here we are. I've said this forever. Raphael and I talk about this. Raphael Peterson, Wendell Green Sr. and I have talked about this, and my staff. We're dinosaurs, my man. We're dinosaurs. So when T.I. leaves Michigan State, there will be very few coaches like that. And the thing that I love about Tom is the love that he has for. We're not talking about a situation where one of the coaches that got fired earlier this season down in the state of Kansas, I ain't gonna specify where he was, where it was almost like he hated people. You know, it's almost like he had gotten too big for his britches. And there are often times,
oh yeah,
where we say some things, and I've said some things that have gotten me in hot water in my marriage. So I get it. You know, when you get upset and you're dealing with your emotions, and that's something that I've had to work on. You know, and again, it's quick for me. I'm just say something, my mind get to roll, and I don't go over the top and go crazy, but I know it can be hurtful. So again, we have to be conscious of that. But in the heat of the gym, in the locker room, there are certain things that I think young people know, you know what, my man loves me. And I think when your player knows that you love them, when we talk about running through a wall for someone, the one thing you have to do, I had to end on a signature on my email that said, you can't have anything without discipline, but you can't have discipline without relationships. So, you know, for me, before you see me grab my kid and lift his head up because I'm talking to him, he's not looking at me in my face, it's not because I'm hitting your kid or anything like that. I want him to look me in my eye. I want him to understand that as a young man, this is your responsibility because I'm gonna look you in yours. Unfortunately, not only has the father some kind of way, kind of in certain instances, removed himself from the household or the family, but we've removed the uncle from the family.
Wow. And the uncle played a big role.
See, it used to be a time now. My father died when I was 9, and my mother had some real bona fide gangsters for brothers, my guys. And if I cut up, which I didn't too much, they would let me know. Now you don't disrespect my damn sister. You don't get out of line.
From an early age, you got that. From an early age, you got that understanding.
Hey, listen, my man. I was still scared of my uncles, and I was bigger than all of them by the time I was 19, 20.
Right.
I was scared of them.
Right.
Because I understood that respect that you're supposed to have for your parents, for your mother, specifically your female family members and females, that is enforced by the males in your family. So what we've done is kind of remove the uncle's role, and the father has kind of downplayed his role. So now we're getting so many of our lessons from our mothers, aunties, and grandmothers, and it's created a situation where our young men aren't as tough as they need to be mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I want to tell our listeners, we're going to get ready to transition from this topic, but even still, I want to kind of get these comments on the record. Lakita talked about, I think there are coaches like him, but they don't do it in the house. These programs aren't getting to where they are successful without being like Izzo True. And AJ Whaley, my guy, shout out to Mumford. You know, right here, you checking in, saying facts, no love for AJ. My guy, Mike Douglas, who's repping Hamtramck as well as Western Michigan, our beloved fraternity, A5A. He said this era is too different where rougher father figure style coaches are not accepted. The household does not even display that role at home, which makes it hard, right? Shout out to Terrence Cooper, my guy up here with Dansville program, doing a great job saying talk that talk. I appreciate you. Jackie Wilfield says most kids don't know how to communicate, which is a good point. She said most kids don't have a problem communicate. So we got a lot of good things going on here. And Kevin also says build them relationships first, and you can be tough as nails because they know you care and it's coming from the heart. So with that, I want to transition to the other school in the state. And it's kind of to Kevin's point. I know Kevin low-key loves him some Michigan too. So this is right on time. Talk about Juwan Howard. And before I get into what I'm starting to call, Coach, the Juwan effect, again, the Juwan effect, meaning what I think is going to be a wave of black head coaches in college basketball. Yes, sir. Ben Johnson just took over the role at Minnesota. And I think the key is going to be that they're going to be alumni, because there's something to that because they are familiar with it and they know it. And you're going to see a lot of that. And it's going to be getting away from that middle-aged white male coach running the program. Hey, we said it. We can talk. You know, it's SPS. Got my own platform, right? That middle-aged white head coach that has that outstanding black assistant coach who's the best recruiter in the world because he kind of got the keys, but he don't have all the keys to the program. But before we get into that, can you take me back in time to give me your perspective of Fab Five, where you were? Because the reality is that with Juwan's success, there's a lot of Detroit's fingerprint is on that, because when he came and was part of Fab Five, he had that influence that Jalen and Chris and that the city brought. So first of all, take me back to where you were when the Fab Five was making noise, and kind of bring me up to where things are right now, and what I've kind of put out there. You can go into it and what your thought is on that topic as it relates to the potential Juwan effect going forward.
Well, you know what? It's amazing because at that time, you know, being about 20 years old, so I'm probably 2 years older because Jalen won the state championship. No, they won in 90 and 91. So we won in 89 again. So I'm home from college and I'm looking. It's funny because Raph and I saw Juwan and Chris on Myers and Puritan at the A Eagles Coney Island. I told you I don't forget nothing. So I remember the young fella. I said, okay, that's the big hoss.
So this is them coming in as freshmen, or
this is about 90. This is 90, 91. They're going up. Their freshman year. They had just Chris said they had just left Jalen crib. Jalen was an Apple Puritan guy. So saw them, and I viewed the promise. You could see the professionalism in these young guys, and you knew something big was going to occur. But the one thing that I remember is Juwan's game. You know, it was fun. He was so fundamentally sound. It was incredible. He was a hell of a mind defensively. I can't recall ever seeing Juwan dunk. I mean, I knew he could dunk a basketball, but here it is. This guy, he played below the rim, but he played above his neck.
I got you. Say that again for the people in the back, Coach.
He played below the rim, but he played above his neck. And it's too far often in the inner city, when a guy plays above the rim, we don't even want him to play above his neck. We don't even encourage him to play above his neck, which has killed a lot of careers. So as I watched him play, you saw his ability to lead, you saw his ability to communicate, and you saw his ability at some point in time in his career, if he ever felt like it, he was going to be a son of a gun as a coach. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what you're seeing now is for Pat Riley to keep him around in Miami speaks volumes. Pat Riley, one of the greatest basketball minds ever. It was no accident that Juwan stayed on even as a player as long as he did, and he wasn't even playing, because he was such a mentor and such a hell of an assistant coach to those young people that it was unbelievable. So what he's doing.
Can I interject to that point for a second? Mm-hmm. And I'm telling on myself, but I think it's a fair statement. When we say, what he doing just sitting there on the bench? Juwan just sitting there season after season. Like, what he do? When he gonna make a move? When he gonna do something? Like, we just saw that time and time again. What's your thought?
Man, what he was doing was being a slave to his trade and being loyal and understanding the love that was needed for those young men and just getting himself prepared. This is no accident. This is no accident. My man knew exactly what he was doing, and he was totally prepared for it. He's been prepared for this day for years. He just didn't get the opportunity to show it. And now that he's here, he was ready, man. He was prepared mentally and emotionally. And now you look at it, he's a leader of men, and he's a leader of young men as well. And it's no accident that they are as great a defensive team as I've seen in a long time in college basketball.
What do you think was part of that shift? And I guess I can answer my own question when they talk about the importance of minorities being in positions of power. Shout out to the Ward, the AD over at Manuel Ward, the AD over at Michigan, because he put his neck out there and kind of shocked us all by saying, I want to bring Juwan Howard in. And for him to do that kind of started this push. And obviously with the success they have, whether they cut down the nets, for the championship or not, that's created something. But what do you think was part of that different effect to make us start looking and start saying, hey, these guys can take on these roles? What do you think was part of that transition?
Well, I think I misspoke. I think it's Wade Manuel. I think that's his name. But
my bad. I'm saying Ward.
Well, but here it is. we've always known, people have always known that these men could do the job. You know, oftentimes what they do, they'll find someone that could just do a decent job as opposed to saying, you know what, let me be real and let me give him a shot. So I think at the time, you know, a great decision was made. You've got in the football position, you got an alum. In the basketball
and it's
position,
Ward Manuel. We got it right, Ward Manuel.
You've got an alum in each spot, and Jawan being as professional as can be and being a leader, it was a no-brainer. And I know oftentimes there's been other no-brainer situations in which the brother didn't get the job. But I hope that this catapults, and like you said, you look at Minnesota, what they just did. I hope we can start to level off this playing field a little bit and recognize that the connection between these coaches and their players are essential. And we're bigger than just going out and getting players. It's kind of funny how that works. You know, sometimes we've been treated as field hands, and we go out and get some, you know, we go out and get workers, and then, you know, everything is done good. While, you know, as we look at it, somebody riding around on a horse gets all the accolades and all the glory. So I think now with Jawan doing, and what's so beautiful about it is, I mean, Sadie Washington.
Shout out to Sadie.
Howard Isley. I mean, you're looking at a staff with brothers, man, and Martelli is up there helping it. So they are doing a great job.
Mark is working his way back around there too.
Oh, come on, man. That's gonna happen. It's going to happen. Okay. So here we are. We're just really looking at a man who's been groomed for this, who's prepared himself for this, who will lead the way. Again, the black coach being highly successful isn't new. You know, John Thompson, John Chaney, over the years, you look at all the, you know, Kelvin Sampson. But here's the thing. We're not in a position where we can be mediocre.
Wow.
You know, I look at white coaches who do a terrible job. I look at them do a barely average job, some of them, and they just get recycled. We aren't fortunate enough to get recycled at the college level. So once we do a considered a bad job, we are a lifetime assistant from that day forward. And I think what Jawan is doing is really something that's wonderful to not only men in the coaching profession, but it's also wonderful for our community. So our young men can see someone in leadership who's polished, who still has his ears to the streets, who still looks the look. I mean, he keep the taper going, hell of a, the goatee. I mean, he got it going.
I mean, the fact that you can do that, you can be clean and still stay connected. And I think it's not giving up anything.
Come on, man. He hasn't sacrificed anything, and he is still who he is. And it's a blessing for us to be able to watch this and witness this up in Ann Arbor, of all places.
Yeah, there's a sub issue in there that just came out. I want to touch on this too. And I can appreciate everything you're saying, everyone chiming in. You know, we're seeing the consistency, Big Ten program, alumni, African-American, Juwan Howard, the other young man in Minnesota, alumni. So what can you say to people about staying the course? You talked about that with Juwan staying low in Miami. And now we're in the portal situation. I communicate with Coach Mel Tucker all the time about the portal. Matter of fact, John Calipari said he going all portal for his next recruits, whatnot. So now we're talking about this movement. So my question to you, Coach, is how do you build roots where you can have the athletic director say, hey, this is our guy. He's been here for 4 years. This is who we want to take over the coaching role when you turn around and you transferring every semester.
Well, you know what? I think that, you know, it's a fine line because that can be used as an excuse oftentimes. You know what? Yeah, they're not sticking around. They're not staying. But I think on the side of the player, Lynn, it goes back to what we spoke on earlier. We don't want our young people to go through anything oftentimes. And, you know, oftentimes just wait your turn. It'll be okay. If it's a matter of you not getting on the court, then by all means, do what's necessary to get on the court. Now, if you figure out, and there's some situations where it's just, you know, this is not a good fit. I thought it was going to be a good fit. I understand that. But there's no way we're looking at every year almost 1,000 young men saying, you know what, this ain't working because he not playing me. And I hear the whispers. He don't like my son. He ain't playing my son. My son better than this guy. All that kind of stuff. The one thing I'll say is learn how to stick it out. And that's why you have to be very educated in your decision when you talk about going off to college. And I know it's difficult at times because there's so much pressure on us now. You know, even when you go home, you know, nobody says, you know what, man, hey, your time coming. Make sure you keep working. And again, that came from a father normally. Your dad, you call home complaining is, hey man, take care of your business. Take care of your business. Keep working.
Right.
Get your butt in the weight room.
Right.
Now, someone else will tell your friends, oh, man, they don't like you. My man ain't nothing. But they don't see that my man stays in the weight room. They don't see that my man doesn't make defensive mistakes. They don't realize that you haven't taken a charge in 3 years. They don't think about any of those things. But they will say, my man cold. Man, you cold. You need to get out of there. And that's the message that really needs to cease, because what we need to be telling our young people is, hey, man, get your butt in there and work. Ask your coach what it is that you need to work on so you can get on the floor. And that really will help our young men, because guess what? All these young men that are transferring all the time, and again, some of it is justified. I'm not saying that at all, but here we are. Oftentimes, these are the same young men that bail out on their families. Oftentimes, these are the same young men. See, because quitting has become a part of the DNA. And as black men, oftentimes, we've been often told, F it. We'll say that quicker than any group of people in the world. F it. And unfortunately, F it continues and it stays with us. And when Lil Lynn and Lil Jaleel and Layla and Tony need us, we're gone because we have learned to say F it.
When it get tight.
When it get tight.
Yeah. Keita made some comments. Let me get through Keita's comments. She said, my problem with the portal is that if you're in the portal and trying to leave, you have issues anyway in most cases. That was to your point, Coach. So why take a recycled player when you can put in your own players in the program? Keita had a few more things. But also, Mikey, he said he almost left Western. Now, Mike ended up leading Western at the all-time assist leader at Western Michigan. Almost left Western. Huh? Yep. He said, I almost left Western. The smartest thing I did, was stick it out, and now I got the record. But it's all mental, more than a basketball court. Shout out to Coach Ken Flowers, representing my alma mater, Henry Ford. He's saying keeping it 100. Rashad Jones, compete over complaining. Whoa, to your point. Compete over complaining. Coach Ken Flowers also said that's the truth, Coach. And he said also adversity builds character. So, Coach, we're going to be hitting the top of the hour soon, and we've had a number of people chime in, and I think as we talk about this whole,
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm home. I ain't around the corner at the bar. We can kick him all here. So
good. I'm good. I want to recognize that. And as we talk about this Juwan Howard piece, you know, I mentioned the head coaching job that's still open at Indiana, and it's somebody that's on my radar. I could be throwing a long shot, but I believe your brother's name is it Coach Boykin at Oklahoma State. The brother down there.
Bad dude.
Yeah, now check it out. He's already the lowest paid coach in the Big 12, right? They also have some pending issues happening. They got some pending, legal issues happening. They may end up being, sanctioned for a season. And you look at a state like Indiana that has had, truly they had, Coach Davis, my guy over at UD, he had been there, so he broke the racial lines when he went in there. But I met the athletic director for Indiana, and he seemed like a really a decent guy. Not that he wouldn't be, but are we at a point now where winning trumps issues with race? Winning trumps, what they're used to having? I mean, we're seeing it at Michigan right now, where you got one of the most elite, programs in the country. Like, we don't care who the person is, but are we getting to the point where they don't care what the person look like, long as you can bring some W's?
Well, let me say this: those W's have to be far superior. They can't be average. I'll tell you this. Now, we can take this for what it is. If Jim Harbaugh was Desmond, what's Desmond's last name? The wide receiver.
Yeah. I'm gonna say
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard.
If that were Desmond Howard.
I lost Coach. He's gonna pop back in a second. Not even worried. Sitting here, Lindsey Huddleston with SPS Sports Psychology Solutions, got the great Coach George Ward representing from King. I think he jumped off for a sec. He's going to come back. I want to thank everyone's been following. Here he is. He's coming right back.
Yeah, I'm right here.
No problem. I'll get you right back. If that was Desmond Howard.
If that was Desmond Howard, he'd be gone. So the only thing I'm saying is we aren't afforded the opportunity not to be great. So that's all I'm saying. We're not afforded. You know, Tubby Smith had issues at the University of Kentucky, and he won a national championship. The minute he wasn't winning national championships, it was, man, you got to get your behind out of here.
So you're saying, I just heard something that you said that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying it ain't that we don't have the ability. We just don't get that longevity that somebody else will get.
Hey, my man, you better get it done and get it done now.
So you got to go above and beyond to make it happen.
That's like an ugly dude. If he an ugly dude, he better get his chips up quick. Old girl ain't gonna stick with him long.
You can't mess around.
Or his love game better be strong. But he ain't got as much time as everybody else. It's just what it is.
You're right about that. So let's forecast a little bit. You know, are you involved with AAU this summer?
It depends on if AAU is going to go down. If so, I know I will continue to coach with the Michigan Playmakers. I really love the program. And again, Lord knows I hadn't ever thought about coaching AAU before, but it's a wonderful program, and it gives an opportunity for our young people to develop. And shout out to all the other AAU programs that are traveling around the world to help these young men get noticed and kind of develop their games a little bit. But for me, that's where I'll be if it goes down.
Okay, why is AAU so misunderstood, and why is there so much controversy that comes when you say those three letters?
Well, you know what? When you look at it, there's no game plan involved oftentimes. Now, I know, the elite levels, when they get an actual schedule, they know ahead of time for the week. But when you go to a lot of the games, you look at it and you say, damn, they haven't run anything, some of the programs, and the overall development is not necessarily preached. So what you look at oftentimes is the star player, he'll get down and you're throwing the ball all the time. And he don't have to worry about somebody really, really, really holding him accountable. Like I've seen too many stars, whatever that means, play in the summertime. And now it's filtered into high school though. So it can't just be AAU, but I think from a competitive standpoint, and we've got some wonderful coaches on the AAU circuit, a lot of my guys, man, but these young people need to be held accountable while they're playing. And far too often, these young players on some of these AAU programs act as if the coach needs them, and it's a privilege for the adult to be coaching them.
Well, so many recruited like that. They took that approach in recruiting him, saying you can come, you don't got to practice, here goes some swag, so on and so forth. So it come back to bite them. So
listen, man, it comes back to bite them. But they, too many of these coaches love to be able to say, that's my kid. Too many of these coaches too many of these coaches love to be able to say, hey, man, I went on this AAU visit. I met Calipari. I got Calipari on the phone. When at the end of the day, that means absolutely damn nothing to me. I want to make sure that the young man is in a position to graduate. So, it is too often that the AAU situation is kind of viewed, and the college coaches will say, you know what? Yeah, you're right, Keita. Not all of them. You're absolutely right. Not all of them. And it goes to what she's saying. Yeah, the high school coaches are doing the same thing. So they kissing so much behind that the young man doesn't feel as if he needs to develop. And I want you to think about this. This is the elephant in the room. Our dominant players that we've had in the last few years in the state of Michigan that have been dominant, specifically the city of Detroit, 25, 30 points a night. Everybody's saying, oh, they ready. Yeah. They're going to be this. He a pro.
Right.
Well, the game hasn't translated to collegiate success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all of our fault. The high school coach, the AAU coach, everybody needs to be held accountable for this. So when a young man leaves my program, I can count the number of times, which ain't many, where they didn't play as freshmen. They might not have started, but they were able to go play. Now, yeah, we hear all the time, man, hey, you got to let him play, man. You got to let him go. Well, okay, cut on the TV and see how many times these college coaches let him go. And what the hell do that mean? What does let him go? Let him go where? Let them go back to another school when they get to the first school and realize they're not ready for school. So for me, AAU and high school coaches, we have to do a better job of saying, look, man, I am in this for this young man to make sure when he leaves me, he's ready. And here's something, Lynn, that's not talked about. And I said this to a young man who ended up being a Mr. Basketball candidate and his family.
Mm-hmm.
I told the father, I said, man, it sounds as if you're more worried about his freshman year in high school than you are his freshman year in college. So when you start talking about, hey, man, shit, my son gonna go, he gonna start, and he gonna play varsity, that ain't important. If he go to the right coach, when he's a senior, he's going to be ready to go. And when he's a freshman in college, if he goes to the right situation in high school, he'll be ready then. Unfortunately, for too many of our young men, when they leave out of the city and they've taken 30 shots a night, they aren't ready to play at the college level. And I think that's hurtful for me at times.
To that point about that parents' comments, how many parents continue to put their players in a negative situation, not only with that mindset, but those college coaches may say, do I really want this package? Meaning the player as well as this parent.
Yeah. Well, you know, I talk to a lot of these coaches and they say, well, I ain't even gonna recruit my man because his mama crazy and his dad crazy. And
so hold on, let's go back. You said you talked to coaches.
College coaches. I ain't talking about me. I'm talking about college coaches who said, man, I ain't messing with that. I ain't messing with that. Now, again, I am all for rooting our children on. Our children are the greatest thing that happened to us. Don't get me wrong. What I'm telling you is you better sit your ass down and be a parent and not try to act like everything that goes on during the course of the game is against your baby. At some point, the accountability, I just saw my man Hustle and Flow, man. Shout out to my man Hustle and Flow. I hate that he had to go through what he went through this season. I hate that his team not playing because, trust me, they were on their way to a Division II Final Four at least, man. Mad love, Flow, you my guy. But here we are. We're talking about accountability. We have to be as accountable as much as you pressing at a game, as much as you pressing for your child to be.
Well, I'm advocating for him, Coach. I'm advocating for my kid. I'm being a voice. I got to speak up for my kid.
No, you don't. You better speak up for your kid and tell them to hustle, take a charge, do what the hell the coach tell you to do, because his game is going to advocate for himself. Now, if there's an issue, then you and the coach should be able to have some dialogue because you guys are family. If a woman and man entrust you with their child for 4 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be, you should be able to have some dialogue. But to go to the game and act crazy or act as if your child is being done a disservice all the time, it is not helping him whatsoever. If he ain't getting 25, 30 shots a game, don't worry about it. Let's make sure that what we're doing is best for him in the long run. And I think that's where, you know what, we can really help our young people. And, you know, I looked at Flo on there. You look at the success that the Henry Ford players and the Redford players back in the day had when they left this program. They were ready to play, you know, so they were successful in college. Now, because they didn't get 35 shots a game, somebody may say, oh, man, he ain't letting you. No, they were champions, and they were champions on the court and inside the classroom as well. So that's where we got to get back to. We were getting guys drafted all the time. We had wonderful high school games. Our schools were loaded with talent and development. But because people are almost afraid to allow their sons to be coached or mentored, it is really harming the game of basketball in a major way.
Yeah, and I think what we're getting at, because everyone's really made a good point to your point about, hey, let the game advocate for itself. I think what we really have is, you know, these parents using this as an extension of their own issues that they're carrying out. I mean, I didn't want to go there, but it's coming back to that.
This your show, man. You're supposed to talk about real stuff, right?
You're right. I mean, but it's like, even if you try to say, hey, let the game advocate, you give all this basic information or say, hey, you might be hurting your kids' chances, they still caught up in, man, this is my opportunity to relive it. And my son or daughter sitting there like, here go daddy again, here go mama again, you know?
And oftentimes the child almost feels like damn, here they go again. Now, I want you to think about this, and this is a true fact, and I'm going to be very brief on this. My son was 10 or 11 years old, pretty skilled, could move the basketball, could dribble left, dribble right, could shoot it, things of that nature. And I recognized the AAU program. I said, man, you know what? He was with a good little program, but I said he needs to get more. He's not working hard enough. I need his behind to make it where he's working. I need him to work his behind off. So I moved him. And I moved him, and he wasn't playing as much. And everybody said, man, you crazy. And guess what? I went to every game on Saturdays and Sundays, and I loved it. I didn't holler at the coach. I didn't have a conversation with the coach. I had a conversation with the young person whose cord I cut. I said in the car, I said, hey, man, you know what? You did a good job today. You could be playing more, but I tell you what, you're not working hard enough. Make sure you get your butt in there and work. And after about a year or a year and a half, he recognized, hell, I've got to make an adjustment because my daddy is not. The only thing I did, I provided the Gatorade. I didn't put it in his bag. I provided the cost. I provided transportation. Other than that, hey, my man, you are on your own. Make sure you take care of your business, because guess what? At some point in time, chronologically speaking, our children are going to have to make it without us anyway. You might as well get them prepared early for it. Now I can say, I kind of like coaching my son because he had to go through some things and I wasn't going to make it easy for him. So, you know, God bless the parents that thinking you standing in the way of your child and dealing with any type of adversity. Shame on you, because you're going to have the same child that can't deal with adversity when they're in their 20s and 30s. And God forbid, God take you away from here and they're not prepared to do it and you're gone.
Yeah. Let's stay with that for a second, because when you talk about your personal situation, you had a great career. Still continue to have a great career on the other side of the ball, coaching.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for you to manage your ego to be able to say it's not really about me right now? I mean, easier said than done, but you know, how did you manage that? What kind of role does your wife play in that? I mean, how did you guys say, hey, we got to let it go? Or was it that you saw it's happened so many times, you know, as a coach, that you said, when I get the opportunity, I won't be like that?
My job is to make sure that my grandchildren's parent that I birthed can take care of them. Okay. That's my job. It ain't my job is not to make sure that he's a great basketball player. Now, if he decided he wanted to play the trombone, I was going to make him work at being a trombone player. That's my job. So my children understand that whatever you're going to be involved in, because you're going to be involved in something, you're going to work at it. That's what my son understood. My children understand. So for me, I understand, yes, our emotions are wrapped up in them. And Lord knows, I will tell you this right now. And some people may think, no way. Whatever the max is on loving your children, I love each of my children to the max.
To the max.
Jaleel Tariq Ward happened to play for me. Torian English happened to play for me. Those are my sons. They played for me. But guess what? I wasn't going to make it easy for them just because I was their father. Now I'm doing them a disservice and I'm doing my team a disservice. Now, as I tell my players, I love each of you individually. Each and every one of you. I love you individually. But I love the group more than I love the individuals. So for me, my ego, I'm going to be honest, my ego wasn't wrapped around it. Now, when Chauncey hits a bucket, when Davin scores a bucket, when Shannon Carter scores a bucket, I'm filled with joy. When Jaleel scores a bucket, I'm filled with joy as well. But during the course of the game, and I'm so into, damn it, we got to win. We got to play the game right. I don't even realize until after it's done, I'll see some clips to say, all right, that's my son. He did a great job. And I'm proud of that. But I love all my young men, man. So for me, my ego is as such that if he failed as a man, that's where my emotions would be wrapped up at.
I get
that.
Now,
it serves me some good. He was third team All-City this year. When he was coming into the 9th grade, nobody thought that would have been humanly possible. And it wasn't because I said, hey, man, y'all vote for my son. There's not a coach on here that can tell you. I called him and said, vote for my son. No, man. My job is to make sure that, you know what, whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to do it well. And you better make sure you take care of your damn business inside that classroom. I'm more pleased with the fact that he was a spelling bee champ of his elementary school when he was in the 4th and 5th grade. He was on the honor roll all the time he's been in school. And he's got over a 3.4, 3.5 GPA now. And he's in the MSAT program at King High School.
Wow.
He got an A in AP English, man. So for me, Yeah, he can make a shot here and there, but I'm proud of the young man that he is more than anything.
I want to stay with that point as a parent. And speaking of parent, I got my mom again chiming in. These are the life lessons you're speaking on, which takes the players past sports and into the world. Talk about the challenge we have for coaches who are coaching their children. And the potential conflict that comes when the child, okay, you telling me what to do, but you still my dad, you still my mom. And it's like, and I still want to be able to get these other opportunities and whatnot. So talk about the challenge that comes with making sure that relationship stays intact, but it's not to the sacrifice of the team overall. And before you go there, I want to acknowledge a few more people. My guy, Jeff Duca, strong lessons coach. Thank you for your message, appearing the right way. Me and Jeff go back to being with Governor Granholm's administration all the time. And also shout out again to Kwame Simmons. What did Kwame say? Kwame said, we are what we repeatedly do. So talk about what it's like, man, making sure that relationship stays intact with you and your child. And what advice would you give to someone else who's coaching their child too?
That's a wonderful question. My relationship with my son is not based on basketball. Listen, if when he turns 25 or he turns 30 and he doesn't want to come over and sit down and have a piece of barbecue chicken with me on my birthday, then I failed him. So I'm not going to let basketball, a ball that the air can be taken out of, ruin my relationship with my son. The air in my relationship with my son can never be taken out. The relationship that I have with my children, the air can't be taken out of that. So, for me, you know what? Again, I stress to him the value of hard work and how he's respected, what you can do as a parent to make sure your child is respected, because everybody is going to say, oh man, he only get to shoot because that's his son. I think I punished my son at times for being my son.
Repeat that. You say you think you've punished your son at times for being your son.
Yeah, because you know why? I wanted to make sure that his respect not only we all have a peer group. Even when you're 1 year old, you have a peer group. They're 1 year old.
That's true.
So here we are. As a father, I had to make sure, because I understand how valuable the peer group is. So I had to make sure that his peers respected him and didn't give him anything. So guess what? He had a C on his report card in social studies when he was in the 10th grade. He had to miss 2 playoff games, and he had been moved up to varsity. He was in the 10th grade. He got a C in social studies. And I have a problem with you having a C in social studies because every damn thing is in the book.
Right. Ain't no calculations. Ain't nothing you got to figure out.
Ain't none of that. We ain't got to figure out fractions or any of that. It's in the book.
Right.
So he got a C, showed me that, you know what, at that time, that wasn't important to him. And I remember when I didn't let him dress. And I remember his peers coming to me like, Coach, come on, man. G got a 3.2 GPA. I said, I don't give a damn. I told him what he can't get and what he couldn't get it in. And to this day, he laughs about it and he understands. But I talk to my son about life. I talk to him about his girlfriends. I know who his little friends are. I know what's going on with him. And my life lessons with him are much more valuable than my basketball lessons with him. Fortunately for him, we can kind of fuse the two and tie them in together. But he's a young man now that has really gotten serious about basketball. And it's kind of funny that Mikey is on there talking, but because Mikey, worked him out during the pandemic. And Mikey he and Mikey have a great relationship. So I always told him, if you want to do something, do it. Whatever it is you're waiting on ain't coming. Yeah. If you fit, the only thing that's coming is Christmas, your birthday, and a bus. Other than that, ain't nothing coming to you.
Christmas, your birthday, but with that, man, we got Rob Murphy taking a break from all the great things he's doing, chiming in, saying success is built in the routine. Rob, we want to collectively congratulate you for your success and your new role with the Pistons as the general manager and president of the Crews. And thank you for chiming in. We've spoken on you a lot. I mean, with the time we have, what do you want to touch on? I know this has been an agenda that I've been driving with some questions that have been pressing to me, but and all that's happened in the last year since we talked, what are some other issues that come to mind for you that you would want to address and put out there too?
Well, Rob Murphy has yet to call me and tell me that I was going to be a scout for the Pistons or the Crews. I'm just waiting.
Hey, Rob about to jump off. He about to jump off this car real quick. He said, "Let me get up out of here."
Hey, he can jump off the call. He know I got him on the line, so we'll talk off. But no, in all fairness, I just think for us, we need to get back to making sure our young people are developing in all facets of life. I watch our young people every day, and they're living for Instagram. Our young people now are engaging in illegal activity, and the parents know it. Our young people, and it's tough. It's tough for them because a lot of our young people are not logging into school. And I know this is a different day and age. This is something that my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, who's a bona fide scholar, is struggling somewhat, for her standards academically, because she's a social butterfly if I've ever seen one. And she tells me, so it's tough. So I just think we need to monitor our young people, and let's be selfless. Let's be selfless enough to get them prepared for life without us. I think the greatest thing that my father could have taught me as a young boy, it was a lesson every day. There was always a lesson my father gave me. But I think the greatest lesson that he gave me was in death. As a 9-year-old boy, I realized that, hey, man, we ain't here forever. I learned that at an early age, that we ain't going to be here forever. So I try to make sure that, every chance I get the opportunity, I want to give my children a little something different. And I know I'm going to pick up the pace now because they're getting older. And again, I'm getting older. So who knows what can happen. I just want us as people to make sure we understand the role that we play in the development and the mental and emotional development of our young people. And let's stop raising basketball players and football players. Let's raise young people who happen to be talented in basketball and football and track. Let's rear those young people to be successful in other facets of their lives. And think about this. If a young man is able to learn how to kill a hell of a crossover, get a step back off the crossover, go behind your back after the crossover, make a spin move, finish with each hand. It took a certain amount of commitment and diligence to do that.
Right.
So let them display the same type of commitment and diligence in the classroom, in their speaking, in their math, in their respect, in their values, in their talking to older people. Let's make sure they understand the commitment that they have to their communities and to their families, because that's the one thing that we've lost, and we see it every day when we look on the news, man.
I got it. As we get ready to wrap up, man, I just wanted to say, you said community. What can you say to the King community, the Crusader community, that despite a pandemic, despite not being able to pack the gym like they wanted to, despite having to sit X's apart from each other, what can you say to them as far as the support they've given you and the support you wish for them to continue to give you as you make your push for a state championship?
You know what? They have been truly amazing. And I just want to say, you know what? As much as I've said thank you to people because they've bestowed appreciation upon me, I always say I appreciate being appreciated. I just really want them to understand how much the program at King High School, how much we appreciate them, how much we appreciate their unwavering support. And what's been magical is people have been calling and saying, hey, how can I get to the game? What do I need to do? Are they letting fans in yet? What can I come in on somebody? Can I come in with the staff? What y'all need us to do? Can I make you a meal? So to the administration, Deborah K. Jenkins, Dr. Jenkins, Barry D. Cannon, Lawrence Fitz, our DJ over there, Mr. Veal, and definitely nephew Ridgely Hudson, but my main man, the legend himself, Mr. Benny White, who's a brother to me, really. I just want to say thank you to each of them and our community. The East Side, we love you. We really appreciate everything that you've done for us. And we understand you may not be there physically, but we know you're there in spirit. And that city championship, I didn't jump up at 1 minute. It's not because I'm that much overweight, but it's just because, you know what, that was for everybody else. That was for everybody else. And really, it gave us a temporary fix during a sad, sad time. So again, I thank you. I thank my family. I thank the families of these young men. And I congratulated them the day after. I just wanted to tell them congratulations to them, because this has been a trying time to Chauncey Willis Sr., Carol Bay Bush, and the Willis and Bush family. Lord knows this has been tough. And again, this has given us a temporary side where we can forget about some of the things that's been going on in our lives. Fernando Massey, we love you, man. We miss you. And to all the coaches out there and everybody on the staff, y'all are the real MVPs. And to all the coaches around the city, this has been tough. And we had a season that's been different, but we love you all. And to our cheerleaders and our faculty and everybody, we love you. We appreciate you.
I know they appreciate it. Well, man, I just want to say I appreciate you. This is just a brief catch up with us. You know, I'm always overjoyed when I get a chance to talk to you because
I'm always talking to you, Lynn. You my guy.
Yeah, you my guy too, man. So what we'll do is we're going to sit back. Keita posed a question: are there tickets available? How does tomorrow's game work, or how are the districts working? I know that may be a tough question with everything that's going on.
No, actually, the GoFan has sent us some specific promo codes, so I have to issue those out tonight. I'm going to do that once you and I get off the line. And I mean, we're at Grosse Pointe North, and they are they're doing a wonderful job of making sure that no extra people get in due to the pandemic and what's going on. So right now it's going to be tough. It's only two, literally, and it has to be two family members per participant, and that's including coaches. So right now that's what we're looking at. If anything changes, I'm definitely going to let everybody know. I'm just kind of disappointed that our fans that we couldn't rejoice with our fans for the city championship and ongoing what we may be able to do in the future. But if anything changes, I'm definitely going to let everybody know.
Yeah, we got to remember, too, that despite the weather being different, it's been a year, we are still in a global pandemic, and we got to keep that in mind. We got a mutual friend, Rasheed Jeffries. That's my fam right there growing up on Fielding the 7 Mile, shouting both you and I out. James Wu Payne has something to say, talking about recruiting life, whatnot. And I just want to thank everyone who took the time to just chime in. So many people showed so much love. But here's the thing. Here's the plan. We're going to continue to watch you guys and your push for glory for the rest of the season. When things open up and that AAU circuit gets going on, I'll make sure to connect with you. And we'll just continue to support each other with whatever's going on. But do know you always have a platform. You always have an outlet. If there's something you want to say, something you want to talk about, you hit me up, and we'll make sure your voice is being heard. And I just appreciate all that you're doing for everybody.
Man, I appreciate it. But number one, again, I told you before, Lynn, I said this before, and I'll continue to say it. Man, you're a ray of hope for brothers. You've done a great job. Your professionalism speaks for itself. You've done a wonderful job, and you're speaking on topics that need to be spoke on. And again, anytime I want to be able to come back, but I do want to leave with this again. Let's make sure we think about our young people beyond the age of 16 or 17. Let's think about that our grandchildren are going to be 16 and 17, and the very 16 and 17-year-old that you're rearing right now is going to be a parent at some point in time. So let's get them pushed early with accountability and responsibility. Let's make sure that we hold them accountable to the letter, because this is the funny thing. Our children are holding us accountable much more than we're holding them accountable now. Isn't that amazing now?
It is.
They're telling us what they need. We're making sure they got internet, great phones. They got to get the Jordans. I mean, some of us allow our children to go stand in line for a dumb pair of damn gym shoes, but we won't make sure that they wake up early for school. So the message in that has to shift. It's got to change. But again, I love our community. I love the people in it. Everybody is doing a great job, man. We truly appreciate you. And again, those young people, if they want to achieve something, let's do like we're supposed to do. Make them work their behinds off to get it. Nothing is coming to those that's waiting on any damn thing. All right.
I like
early bird catches the worm too.
And we got to get out here and get it. Appreciate you. Good luck tomorrow, and we'll talk soon. Lindsey Hudson with SPS, sign off with George Ward. Number love, man. I'll see you soon, okay?
Man, love, bro. Appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that chimed in, too. What a great opportunity.
Yeah, go back and watch it again, y'all. Watch it again. There's a lot of good stuff in there. All right, I'll see you, brother. Take care.
My man.
Yeah.
Yep.